This just in. So far in 2022, there have been nearly 600 mass killings in the United States. Has there really been though? How do we decipher news headlines like this while still getting the information we want and need, while at the same time cutting through the media's bias and misinformation? What's real? What's not? Keep watching. What's up, YouTube? Before we get started, I'd like to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Colon Blow. Do you suffer from mild to severe constipation? If so, get you some Colon Blow. Now, in all seriousness, guys, today I'd like to talk about the misinformation that the media puts out. It's not necessarily misinformation, but it could be deciphered differently from us who are watching the news. And if you're looking for the truth and correct data, sometimes it could be deciphered differently. I'm here today to try to make sense of all of this and to help you guys out. First and foremost, guys, if you're like me, most of us, we watch the news to get informed on current events that would impact our daily lives, right? And it's also important to remember what the media is about. Media is a business, and that business is for profit. That profit drives the sensationalism that the media provides in the news that is fed to us. This can be seen in the perpetuation of the shootings by the media. How do they do this? By showing the shooter's information every time there's a shooting. Every time there's a shooting, what does the media do? They show the shooter's picture, information, all of that shit. Shooters want to be infamous for committing these types of acts. It's important to understand what type of people are committing these acts. If I'm mentally unstable and I'm watching the news and I have some sort of gripe, some sort of problem with the world, light bulb, look how much attention this guy's getting from committing this shooting. I'm gonna go do the same thing. So now let's talk about these headlines we always see. According to the Washington Post, Washington Post. According to the Washington Post, there have been nearly 600 mass shootings in 2022 so far. This article goes on to say, the shooting in the University of Virginia in Charlottesville that left 3 people dead was one of the 9 mass shootings over the weekend. It comes nearly 6 months after a rampage at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Now, they are linking the shooting that happened just a couple days ago in Virginia to the shooting that happened in Uvalde, which are 2 very different shootings, 2 very different incidents, 2 very different outcomes. They're linking those 2 in the same article, which can be misleading to some of us. They go on to define what a mass shooting is, which I will do here in a bit, but the end of the article says, mass shootings have averaged more than 1 per day so far this year. Not a single week in 2022 has passed without at least 4 mass shootings. So you can see how this whole entire article can be misleading to us. Now, what do I mean by that? It's important to understand what an active shooter situation is and what a mass killing event is. An active shooter, active threat situation, the technical definition of this is a person or persons actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill multiple people in an area occupied by multiple unrelated victims. That's the active shooter definition as it's relayed by Alert. The FBI has a definition for serial murder, not necessarily mass shooting or mass killing. The FBI defines serial murder as an incident in which 4 or more people are injured or killed, not including the shooter or attacker. So we know what an active shooter is, we know what a mass killing is defined as. So now it's important to realize some active shooter attacks can be mass killings. Most mass killings are not active shooter attacks. And that's the point that I really want to get across here, is that the media likes to throw out that term all the time, active shooter. There's an active shooter at a school site, active shooter here, because it's sensational, right? It's not technically true. Just because I go onto a school campus and I might shoot my girlfriend and then kill myself, that just happens to be a murder-suicide that occurred on a school campus, and it's not technically a school shooting. They've categorized many incidents as school shootings as well, miscategorized I might add. Kid brings a BB gun onto a school campus and shoots his friends, just joking around. Although serious, technically is not a school shooting. And that's what's happening here with the term mass killings in active shooter situations. So, the Washington Post says there has been nearly 600 mass killings in the United States in 2022 so far. What does this actually mean? Well, if we're keeping with the FBI's definition of a mass killing being 4 or more people injured or killed other than the shooter, then technically the distraught mother driving her van full of kids into a lake, killing everybody, that technically is a mass killing. I have 5 people in my house right now. If I wanted to kill each and every one of them, sweetheart, that would be a mass killing. Doesn't necessarily mean that the public is in danger, does it? Not that I would actually do that. So now let's clear the groundwork, clear the air for some actual statistics. What is actually happening out there as far as active shooter attacks go? That's what this video is really about, active shooter attacks, and is the public really in danger as the media likes to portray? So the FBI comes out with a report on active shooter attacks every 2 years or so. And I'm pretty good about keeping up with the statistics. So all these statistics come from the FBI. I didn't make this up. According to the FBI, in the United States from the years 2000 to 2021, there have been 434 active shooter attacks. Now that's based off the definition I gave you at the beginning. Gang violence, shootings at a house, murder, suicide, those don't count. Of those 434 attacks, there have been 448 shooters. About 14 of those attacks had 2 shooters. Which state do you think has the most shootings? California. Welcome to the Golden State. 54 of those attacks happened in California. Now let's talk about location. What types of locations do these active shooter attacks occur at? The number 1 spot, 171 of those attacks occur at a business, a place of business. If you think about your classic active shooter attack, it's a disgruntled employee going into his place of work and shooting the place up. The number 2 location that active shooter attacks occur at is outdoor venues, miscellaneous places, residences, things like that. Schools are actually number 3 now. So with 77 outdoor venues, recreation areas, residences. Now let's talk about outcomes. The outcome of the shootings. 204 of those shooters are arrested by police. That is the number 1 outcome for active shooter attacks. The number 2 outcome is suicide at 137. So 137 of those shooters commit suicide either on scene or at another location. That's what type of people we're dealing with here. 92 of those shooters are shot and killed by police, making it the number 3 outcome. Let's talk about the shooter themselves. 95% male. 95% male. So the one thing you can count on for the most part, it's gonna be a male. All ages, all races, but male. There have been some females, there have been some husband and wife teams, like the San Bernardino attack. Let's talk about weapons. The number 1 weapon that a shooter's gonna use in an active shooter attack is a pistol. 76% of the time, they're gonna use a pistol. Let's talk about rifles, the AR-15 type rifle. Everyone remembers Sandy Hook. After Sandy Hook, there was a big outcry for gun safety, gun reform, right? We as American public just can't grasp the fact that these weapons exist, they are out there, and a lot of misinformation is given out about these weapons. If you look at the statistics, a majority of the attacks are performed by pistol. Yes, there are attacks that are conducted with a AR-15 style rifle, but only 32% of the attacks happen with rifles. So when the media says, when people say that rifles make up hundreds of shootings per year, that is just not the case. In an active shooter attack, it's only 32% of the time. Shotguns make up 12% of the time. 29% of the time, they're gonna have multiple weapons. So let's talk about this. This last category here, preparation by the shooter. 29% of the time, they're gonna have multiple weapons. 2% of the time, they're gonna have IEDs. And 4% of the time, they're gonna have body armor. If they have multiple weapons, IEDs, and body armor, this tends to be your more serious active shooter style attack. Preparation by the shooter is evident here. Much like Uvalde, where he had multiple weapons, he didn't have IEDs or body armor per se, but he was prepared. This is why when the Washington Post compares the Uvalde shooting with the shooting that just happened in Virginia, two very different attacks, two very different incidents with very different outcomes, which is why it can be very misleading. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification button down below, whatever the kids are saying these days. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for other videos, and let me know in the comments section below what you want to see next. I'm here all day. Have a good one.